Hey everyone, welcome back to Kubrick Corner with me, Sean Wilson. So we're in the home stretch of 2018 now, and what an extraordinary 12 months of cinema it's been. I'm going to be doing my top 10 films of the year list very, very soon, and believe me, this year it's been incredibly hard to whittle those down. Also, this year, December has proved to be unusually fruitful for good movies because December is normally movies in which studios dump some of their less desired films. But of course, this year we haven't had a Star Wars movie. We had Solo back in May, which didn't do so well. And the absence of a Star Wars movie for Christmas this year has meant that lots of other studios have unleashed other franchises upon us. One of which is Bumblebee, which is the new Transformers origin story from Paramount. Now, I'll say up front, I despise all of the previous live action Transformers movies, not the animated movie from the 1980s. That one's absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that. But the live action Transformers movies is directed by Michael Bay, are horrible, leering, aggressive, like pervy, obsessed with, treating the actresses as objects, really like misplaced humour, ugly action sequences, terrible design. So the knowledge that we were going to be getting an origin story about the Bumblebee character didn't exactly inspire me with much confidence, even though obviously as a character he's held in high regard by many fans. However, when I heard that it was going to be directed by Travis Knight, the genius animator behind Kubo and the Two Strings, and whose association with the stop motion studio Leica stretches back several years, I kind of breathed a tentative sigh of relief. So I thought, well, Kubo and the Two Strings was a beautiful movie, and I was quite intrigued by him making his live action debut with this. And as it turns out, this is exactly the kind of course correction that the Transformers franchise needed. Bumblebee is very enjoyable, not groundbreaking by any means, but actually this is the sort of Transformers movie that we should have got when the franchise started under Michael Bay in 2007, in which we've constantly been denied. It seems like the studio finally looked at this and gone, right, let's make Michael Bay move aside as director, although he is still credited as producer, and actually give it over to somebody who has got a sense of childlike wonder and innocence, and who clearly understands that the main frame of reference is meant to be somebody like Steven Spielberg, who executive produces, rather than making the frame of reference a Victoria's Secrets advert. And the film is really good. The plot is fairly rote at the beginning. Bumblebee escapes his planet of Cybertron, where the Autobots and Decepticons are locked into battle. Through a series of circumstances, he arrives on Earth. He ends up losing the ability to speak. He is then discovered while disguised as a yellow VW Beetle, because remember, this is set in the 1980s, 1987 specifically, before the events of the first Transformers movies. He is then discovered by Haley Steinfeld's Charlie, who thinks he's just a beetle. Obviously, she gets him back into the garage, finds out that he is so much more than that, and then what then ensues is the sort of Autobots, Decepticons battle with her and Bumblebee at the centre of it, and then you have John Cena as the hard-nosed military operative who gets a brilliant line when the government are entering some kind of uneasy deal with two Decepticon arrivals who claim to be acting in sort of the interests of humanity, but clearly aren't. And then John Cena's characters, what they're called Decepticons. Does that not tell you anything? Great line, and a sign that this movie, unlike the Michael Bay Transformers movies, actually has a sense of humour, and it does have a sense of humour. The gags are very funny, not just verbal like that. And John Cena is obviously very good at poker faced wit, but the whole physicality of it. There is a scene that echoes E.T. wandering out into Elliot's house for the first time, where he gets drunk, except this time it's a giant Autobot who ends up trashing everything in the house. It all starts with him breaking a can of Tab, and then it all goes downhill from there. So the humour is very funny. The frames of reference, obviously Steven Spielberg and the like, are entirely appropriate for this target audience. And again, how brilliant it is to have a Transformers movie that understands its target audience. I mean, it's ridiculous that it's taken this long to get to that point. But really what makes it work is it's got a lot of heart. Even though it's made up of sort of constituent parts that you recognise from other and frankly superior movies, it makes you care about the central relationship between Charlie and Bumblebee, and a lot of that is down to Haley Steinfeld, who is a brilliant actress going right the way back to the Coen Brothers' True Grit, and she really sells you on the emotive relationship between her and Bumblebee. And there were a few moments in which I have to say I was almost tearing up. I was on the verge of tearing up. I thought, wow, I'm not tearing up in terms of being angry at how awful this is. I'm tearing up because this has actually got to me. This has actually got real soul, real spirit, real filmmaking panache behind it, and I'm really enjoying it. I like the the 80s nostalgia is ladled on just enough without being annoying. There's a running gag about Charlie trying to get Bumblebee to like the Smiths, and there's lots of like sort of pop culture references like that, which will of course get people, 30-year-olds and upwards like me, sort of invested in it. But that isn't done to the point of being annoying. It's done again with its as a salute to all those classic 1980s family movies to which this is aspiring. Yeah, and I really, really liked it. So, in amongst the many surprises that 2018 has given us, a decent Transformers movie has got to be one of them. And I would highly recommend that you go and see it over Christmas because you could do a lot worse. It's a very, very solid family adventure, well put together by Travis Knight and very well acted by Haley Steinfeld. So, if you go and see Bumblebee, drop me a comment here at Kubrick Corner. Until then, I'll see you soon. Bye.